الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على مبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This is a brief introduction of how our Prophet ﷺ used to pray. And this is collected and taken from the authentic sunnah. And this is extremely important because it was he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who said, "Pray as you have seen me pray." I haven't seen you pray, O Prophet of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but I've read the description of your prayer from your companions. And the hadiths that came to us are found in Bukhari, in Muslim, in Sunan Abi Dawud, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Nasa'i, in Mustadrak, in Muslim, Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik. So many books of hadith. You collect them, you check their authenticity, and then you implement it in your prayers. Now, the issue of prayer is important because it is one of the pillars of Islam. Not only that, it is a vast and huge topic because, like any forms of worship, it has conditions. It has things that nullify it. It has pillars. It has mandatory acts, and it has sunnah acts. And without the knowledge of all of these things, your prayer will not be complete. And this is the cause where a lot of the Muslims have dispute, argument. They have hatred and enmity towards one another simply because you're not praying like I'm praying. Simply because I follow a school different than your school. And this is totally wrong. Salat was made to gather people together. This is why we have congregational prayer. This is why when the Prophet ﷺ used to straighten the rows of the worshippers, he used to say to them, do not differ. Do not go against one another so that Allah Azza wa Jalla will not differ your hearts. And this is what we're having at the moment. So this is a brief description. I don't claim that it is the perfect description, but at least sharing with you that I know will inshallah elevate the level of our prayers to the level we want. Bi-idhnillahi Azza wa Jalla. So first of all, there are conditions. And these conditions must be fulfilled. And the definition of condition, according to the jewelers, is that a thing, without it, the form of worship does not exist. And if it is found and fulfilled, that is a condition, this doesn't mean that it has to be found. What does this mean, Shaykh? I'm confused. I'll give you an example, don't worry. One of the conditions of salat is wudu, ablution. So if I pray without ablution, my prayer is void. Simple as that, because the condition was not fulfilled. But if I make ablution, this does not mean I have to pray. I may pray, and I may not pray. So when the condition is there, it doesn't mean that I have to perform the form of worship. But if it is not fulfilled, if it's not there, this means that even if I perform the worship, the form of worship, it is invalid. So what are the conditions of salat? There are many. Among them is, first of all, niyyah, or intention. And the intention, some make it as a condition because it comes before the prayer, and some make it as a pillar. And it's more likely to be a condition. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to intend it. And I will not go into the conditions of salat because this is a long topic. But I have to know whether I'm praying Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, or Fajr. I just can't say Allahu Akbar and during the prayer say, what is this? Oh, I think it's witr. No, this is not valid. Second condition, facing the Qibla. So if I know the direction of Kaaba, I have to direct myself to it. If I know it's there and I direct myself this way, then my prayer is invalid. Third condition is the entrance of the time of prayer. So I want to pray Maghrib, and I can see the sun is about to set, or half of it has disappeared, and I say, Allahu Akbar, your prayer is invalid. Why? Because the sun has to completely set and disappear for Maghrib to be due, and you can't pray before the time is due. Condition number 4, to cover your awrah. So for a man, I have to cover from the navel to the knees. This is my awrah. This is the private part that must not be shown. Without it, my prayer is invalid. Number 5 is to have purity. And purity is divided into 2 types. Wudu, which is uplifting the status of impurity, or ghusl, which is uplifting the major state of impurity, the ritual impurity. This is number 1. Wudu or ghusl. Number 2, purity of my body, no najasa, no impurities on it, purity of my clothes, and purity of the spot that I'm praying on. Three types. These are the conditions. You can look for more details in the books of fiqh, but this is something you have to understand and know. Without it, your prayer is invalid. So be careful. We come to the prayer. I want to pray now. What do? I fulfill the conditions. Okay, my awrah is covered. I have wudu. I'm facing the qibla. The time is due for prayer. So what do? I intend. And how do I intend? Intention is in the heart. It's not something that you verbally say. So if I want to eat an apple, I don't say I intend to eat this green apple in front of me on the table. I just reach out and bite it. This is the intention. So my intention now, in my heart, I don't have to say anything verbally or mentally. I just intend to pray Dhuhr. It is Dhuhr time. I make wudu, I come and I stand. The intention is there. I begin my prayer with a pillar. What is this pillar? You tell me. Wrong answer. The first pillar of salat is not takbir. The first pillar of salat is standing up when you're able to do so. So for fard prayers, you don't have the option of sitting down because you're lazy or you feel tired. If you're able to stand up, it's a pillar that you stand up. This is pillar number 1. I'm standing up. I do pillar number 2, which is known as takbiratul ihram. The first inauguration takbir by saying Allahu Akbar. So now I've started prayer. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, وَتَحْرِيمُهَا التَّكْبِيرُ. So it has to be inaugurated with takbir, the first takbir. Okay, Shaykh, you said Allahu Akbar, you didn't raise your hands. Yes, raising the hands is not a pillar. This is a sunnah. Whoa, I didn't know that. Well, now you know. This is why I'm here. So saying Allahu Akbar means that I've started praying. Now the sunnah is to say Allahu Akbar, to raise the hands. If I don't raise the hands, sunnah is gone. The prayer is totally valid and correct. Okay, when to raise the hands, Shaykh? You have one of 3. Either before saying Allahu Akbar, or during it, or after it. Can you explain? Yeah, sure. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. It can be raised before, during, or after. This is confirmed sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So we move on. When I say Allahu Akbar, raise my hands, the sunnah is to put the right hand over the left hand on the chest, as per the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, may Allah be pleased with him. And this was a confirmed sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to place the right hand over the left on the chest. Well, the chest itself is an issue of dispute, because some authenticate hadith, some don't. And those who don't differ whether to put it on the belly or to put it underneath the belly. But the most authentic is to put it on the chest. It's from here to here. So you put the right hand on the left hand on the chest while in the standing position. Underline, highlight with yellow, bold font. Why? I'll come to discuss this with you because hadith, when describing the Prophet's prayer, ﷺ, they used to say that he used to put the right on the left hand in the standing position. So now I'm standing. Let's begin from scratch. You look at the place of your prostration. You don't look at the chandeliers and look at the people around you. Everything is, no. You're praying.
Look here. Look there. I asked Allah's messenger, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, upon looking hither and thither in prayer. He replied, it is a way of stealing by which Satan takes away a portion from the prayer of a person. Sahih al-Bukhari. Narrated Anas bin Malik. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "What is wrong with those people who look towards the sky during the prayer?" His talk grew stern while delivering this speech, and he said they should stop looking towards the sky during the prayer. Otherwise, their eyesight would be taken away. Narrated by Sahih al-Bukhari.
You're facing Allah Azza wa Jal. So you stand in submissiveness and humility, expressing your poverty, and you say, Allahu Akbar. Where do I raise my hands? Two hadiths. One next to the shoulders, one next to the ears. So how do I understand this? It's very easy. The palm is next to your shoulders. The fingers are next to the level of your ears. And this is how you combine between the two authentic hadiths. So it is not like Allahu Akbar as people say, or Allahu Akbar as people do. This is all wrong. It is not Allahu Akbar. No, it is this way. So the palms next to the shoulders, the fingers are next to the level of the ears, facing the Qibla. You say Allahu Akbar, looking at the place of your prostration. Where do I put my forehead? I look at it whenever I am in the standing position. So it's always like this. Then I place my right hand over the left hand on the chest. And there are two ways of doing this. Look at my fingers. This is my wrist, my palm, and my arm. It's in between, like this. So this is one way of doing it. The other way, which is also authentic of doing it, is grabbing my wrist, like this. So I'm grabbing it. Some people want to make something in between, so they do this. And this is wrong. Either you put the whole palm of your hand with the fingers on the arm, wrist, and hand, or you simply grab your wrist, left wrist, like this. So what people do like this is totally wrong. Some brothers from Africa do this, and they tilt themselves. What are you doing? They say, we're preserving the heart. When was the last time you took an X-ray? If your heart is on the right, then you have a problem. Where are you getting this from? The sunnah is to stand idle, in the middle, not to the left, not to the right, as the Prophet used to pray, alayhi salatu wasalam. Capish? Move on. Do the takbir, put the right on the left, on the chest, and you don't have to put it like some of the brothers do this. This is extreme. Some of the brothers, maybe Allahu Akbar, and this is too loose. Some of the brothers say, Allah, this is too extreme. Follow the way of the Prophet, alayhi salam. Be moderate, and don't make an issue of it. Some brothers say, Allahu Akbar, and they pray like this. And you start, what are you doing? I'm following the school of so-and-so. No, this is wrong. Is it wajib? Is it mandatory? No. Is it a fault? A pillar? No. It's a sunnah. So don't fight over things like our sunnah. Prayer is more important than fighting over such issues. Finished? Okay, what do? We move on to another sunnah, which is called Dua al-Istiftah. So Dua al-Istiftah, there are different variations. One of the most easiest and popular, Subhanallah, Muhammad, Tabarak Asmuk, wa ta'ala jadduk, wa la ilaha ghayruk. Very easy. This is a sunnah. If I skip it, do I have any problem? No problem. Another famous one is the Dua of Abu Hurairah in Sahih Muslim. اللهم بارك بيني وبين خطاياي كما بعدت بين المشرق والمغرب ونقني من خطاياي كما ينقى الثوب الابيض من الدنس وسلم من خطاياي بالماء والثلج والبرد. Beautiful dua, Sahih Muslim. There are 3, 4 more. You pick and choose. If you skip it, no problem. Then I begin with saying أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, or أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم, or there are a number of ways of seeking refuge in Allah from shaitan. Mandatory? No. Sunnah. Then I say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mandatory? No, it is sunnah. Sheikh, give me a break. What do you mean sunnah? In the Quran, if I open it, I find Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, number 1. This is a verse from the Fatiha. It's an issue of dispute. And the most authentic opinion, according to the Sahih Sunnah, that Basmalah is not a part of Fatiha. It is a dividing verse between the surahs of the Quran, with the exception of Surah At-Tawbah, chapter number 9. And the hadith is clearly stating this. When Allah says, I've divided prayer between me and my servant into 2 halves. When my servant says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah says, my servant has praised me. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, so on. It goes on like this. So Allah did not mention Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which means it's not part of the Fatiha. But this is another topic, maybe we discuss it later on. Then I begin in one of the pillars of Salah, which is Al-Fatiha. So I say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I say each ayah, and I stop and I pause. Not, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. I ran out of breath. If I were younger, I would have continued the whole surah. This is permissible, but it is not the sunnah. The sunnah is to stop at the end of each verse with a pause. And this is why when we pray, we don't find the taste and beauty of it. Because we want to rush things. While if you say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, you find that there is tranquility, submissiveness, khushur in your salat. You get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. I finish Fatiha. This is a pillar. Now I'm talking about pillars, mandatory acts, and voluntary acts. Once I finish the Fatiha, I can go to ruku'. Whoa, Sheikh, wait. There's a surah afterwards. I know there's a surah afterwards. This surah is a sunnah. You're kidding me. No, I'm not. There is a surah after the Fatiha, but it is a sunnah. So if I say, وَلَضَّالِّينَ آمِينَ Allahu Akbar, in Fajr, my prayer is valid. I didn't know that. Now you know. If I say it in Maghrib, it's valid. If I say it in Isha, it's valid. The sunnah is to recite a surah afterwards, or a verse as a minimum. And the sky's the limit. Interesting. So I recite a surah afterwards. I finish that. Then I go for ruku'. One question, Sheikh. Yes. After I say غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين, should I pause so that the people behind me can recite the Fatiha? So I say ولا الضالين آمين. قل يا أيها الكافرون. Oh, why did you stop? So that the people can recite the Fatiha. This is how they do it in Mecca and Medina. Says, okay, how did the Prophet do it? Because he said, pray as you have seen me pray. My job is to come and check how the Prophet used to pray. Never ever was reported that he paused between the Fatiha and the Surah. So this is clear? He never paused. Okay, so you say ولا الضالين آمين قل يا أيها الكافرون. Just like that? Yeah, just like that. Okay, we move on to finishing the surah. We finish the surah. What should we do now? After finishing the surah, the sunnah is to go for ruku'. So how do I perform ruku'? So I finish the surah, I say, Allahu Akbar. Now listen, I haven't said it yet. Raising the hands, sunnah or mandatory? Sunnah. So the raising of the hands is a sunnah. And when do I say Allahu Akbar? Mistake number 1, Allahu Akbar. This is wrong. Mistake number 2, Allahu Akbar. Oh, if these are 2 mistakes, then what should I do? You should say takbir while moving, not in the standing position and not after you reach your ruku'. So that is called takbir of movement. So this is the way it should be. Allahu Akbar. So while moving, saying the takbir. What is the ruling of the takbir, Sheikh? This is wajib, mandatory. Meaning that if you purposely skip it, your prayer is invalid. And if you skipped it out of forgetfulness or an error, you have to compensate this by sujood al-sahw. So I go to the ruku' position. And what I do is the following. Allahu Akbar. Now in the ruku' position, I have to do the following. Number 1, my palms of the hands are spread and grabbing my knees like this. So the fingers are spread. My back is straight. So it's not like this, and it's not stretching out downwards. The sunnah is to keep your back straight, as if someone puts water on it, it will remain. It will not spill. I don't know how bad I'm doing or how doing this. I don't see myself, but I try my level best. Do it according to the sunnah. The head, as described in the hadith, should not be pointed up like this, and it should not be tilted down like this. So it should be normal way of doing it. So this is the ruku'. Now you ask me, where should I look, Sheikh? It's an issue of dispute. Sheikh Al-Albani says, in the standing position, we were told to look at the prostration spot. But in the ruku', there is no mentioning of that, which made some scholars say you should look at the spot of your sujood, prostration, like Sheikh Hakeem. But this would be proven to be difficult, because if you do this, when you're doing ruku' and you're looking at the position of your prostration, you will find that your head is a bit tilted. So Sheikh Al-Albani says, either you look between the area of your prostration and your feet, so in the middle, or you look between your feet, like so. And this area is something that is open. The Prophet did not mention, alayhi salatu wasalam, any specific place. The companions did not describe any specific place. So inshallah, it is more than possible to do whatever you think is best for your salat. Now, after finishing my ruku', during it, I have to repeat the dhikr. And what is the dhikr? I have to say, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, which is mandatory. And 1 is the minimum. 3 is recommended. The sky is the limit afterwards. I can say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. I can say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdi. I can say, Allahumma laka raka'tu bika amantu laka aslamtu khasha'a laka sam'i wa basari wa 'azmi wa mukhi wa mustaqalla bihi qadami. Different kinds of dhikr you can say. The minimum requirement is 1, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. It is mandatory. You cannot play with it. So we say, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, while I'm in the ruku'. Among the mistakes people do is like this. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. So they say it while going down or coming up. And this is not valid. You have to say, when you are totally in ruku', relaxed, every bone is back to its place, by saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdi once enough. Then while rising up, you say, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and you raise your hands again. So we raise our hands in the inauguration takbir. We raise our hands when we go for ruku'. We raise our hands when we rise up from ruku'. And this is the sunnah according to the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar in Sahih Bukhari. He's describing the Prophet's prayer, alayhi salatu wasalam. And we say, Sami Allahu liman hamida. This is mandatory for an individual praying on his own, for an imam leading prayers, for worshippers. And I follow that by saying, Rabbana lakal hamd. Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Allahumma rabbana lakal hamd. Allahumma rabbana wa lakal hamd. Either one of these 4 does the job. And this is said by the imam, by the individual, and by the followers. Which means that if I'm praying behind the imam, and he rises from ruku' saying, Sami Allahu liman hamida, I, as a follower, do not say, Sami Allahu liman hamida. I just answer what he has said. So, I've raised, or I raised, and I got up from ruku' position saying, Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. There are a lot of adhkar I can say afterwards, but this is what's essential. You can say, Mil as-samawati wa mil al-ardi wa mil ma shi'ta min shay'in ba'd. You can say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. And do I place my hands on the chest or leave it on the sides? Either way is possible. What do you suggest, Sheikh? I personally follow the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, which says that whenever the Prophet rise from ruku', whenever the Prophet stood up, he used to put the right on the left on the chest. So now after I've risen from ruku', what is this position called? Is it sujood? Is it ruku'? What is it? It's standing up. So according to the hadith, then I should do this. The majority of scholars say no, you have to put it on your side. But there is not a single hadith that stated that the Prophet used to put his hands on his side in any position. So it's an issue of dispute, but again, this is the sunnah. You put it on your chest, you put it on your side, there's no problem. Don't make an issue out of it. Don't label people or classify people or think that people are better than you or worse than you. No. Just leave it as it is. This is the conviction. Leave them. So I'm in the ruku' position. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdi. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Rabbana wa lakal hamd kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi.
Sami Allahu liman hamida.
This is my standing up from the ruku'. What should I do now? I should go for sujood. Now for sujood, there are 2 ways. A difference of opinion among scholars. Should I land first on my knees or should I land first on my hands? It's an issue of dispute. And the reason of that is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he said that one should not go down like a camel does when the camel wants to sit. Rather, he should put his hands first before his knees. And understanding whether the hands of a camel are their elbows or the knees in his feet, it's an issue of dispute. Either way is okay, inshallah. So however you feel comfortable with, you should do it. I personally, due to age, due to praying on marble or stones, whenever there are pebbles in the ground, if you land from the standing position on your knees, would surely injure yourself one way or the other. For elders, it's difficult to go on their knees, especially if they have knee problems. It's always best to go first on the hand. It's like a shock absorber. It absorbs the fall itself. It eases the pressure on and the weight on the knees. So how to do this? This is what we'll, inshallah, show you now. So in order to do sujood, you will find that I'll take my glasses. Now I can't see you, but alhamdulillah, you can see. Why do you take your glasses off, Sheikh? Because it will hinder putting the sujood spots properly. What do you mean by sujood? Prostration. As the Prophet said, I was ordered to prostrate on 7 limbs. He said, the face, and he pointed to his nose, meaning the forehead and the nose. These are related. This is one organ. The hands, the knees, and the feet. These are 7. So I want to go to sujood. Do I raise my hands? No. I just say Allahu Akbar while falling to sujood. And this is what I do. Allahu Akbar. This is the way of performing sujood. What are the things I should pay attention to? Before I do the prostration, I'm still in the standing position. You have to know that, first of all, my hands should be pointing to the Qibla. So my hands are not this way and are not this way. Rather, they are pointing to the Qibla. Now, where should I place my hands? I have the option either to place my hands next to my shoulders or a little bit close to my ears. My knees are not so close together. They are apart. My feet, they are close to each other, erect, with some toes, not all of them, because it's impossible to have all your toes pointing to the Qibla, but the toes that are bendable can point to the Qibla. My arms are wide and spread, so my biceps are not close to my sides. So I have to spread as I'm spreading my wings. And my stomach is not touching my thighs. Some people just go very down. And I'll show you quickly, hopefully, to the best of my knowledge and ability. So my forehead, my nose must touch the ground. And these 7 limbs must touch the ground throughout the sujood. Because part of the famous mistakes is having your feet dangling. Or some of the brothers having the left hand on the ground and the other hand while prostrating, playing with his beard or looking at something in his pocket. So he's prostrating on 6 limbs, and this renders his sujood void if he does this without any legitimate reason. So I was standing up. Now I'm falling into the sujood position. And I'm saying Allahu Akbar in between. So let's look at how I make the sujood. This is one of the ways of doing it. So my hands and fingers should be pointing towards the Qibla. My face, my forehead, and my nose are touching the ground. I should have my arms apart and away from my body. And at the same time, my stomach is not touching my thighs. Some brothers do this, and this is wrong. And this is too much spread. So the appropriate way is either having my hands next to my ears or to my shoulders. I can have this one here, and I can have this one here. Look at my feet. They are touched together, not far away. They are touched together with my toes bent towards the Qibla as much as possible. Now, if I'm praying next to people, to my right and to my left, if I do this, I'm going to annoy them and maybe harm them. So it is permissible when you are in a tight position to put your elbows on your thighs or inside. What is haram and prohibited is to do this. This is prohibited, which I have my forearms on the ground like a dog. And the Prophet said that this is totally prohibited. What should I say when I'm prostrating? Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdi. Subbuhun qaddus rabbul malaikati wa ruh. So many du'as. The minimum requirement, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Can I make dua? Go ahead, make dua. As much as I want, as much as you want. Oh Allah, pay my debts. Oh Allah, guide my children. Oh Allah, guide my wife. Oh Allah, get me a second wife. Oh Allah, grant me health, whatever. In Arabic. Sheikh, I'm not Arab. And I can't say it in Arabic. No problem, say it in your own language. Oh, this is interesting. Yes, the closest you are is when you are in sujood position. So if I'm in my sujood position and I would like to sit between the two prostrations, I say, Allahu Akbar. And I sit on my left foot. This is called iftirash. And I erect my right foot with as many possible toes towards the Qibla. My hands are on my thighs and my knees. So it's in between. The area is possible. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. It's here. Sit normally. Don't be so technical. Sometimes people are so technical, they forget the prayer. They forget what they recited. Just saying, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Be natural. Follow the sunnah. Acknowledge that this is the sunnah, the way of the Prophet, and do it naturally. And when I sit like this, I say, Rabbi ghfirli. Minimum is once. I can say 10 times, 10, 20 times. I can say 2, 3, 4, whatever. Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli. Issue of dispute. Is saying Rabbi ghfirli mandatory or sunnah? Some scholars say it's sunnah. I'm inclined to say that it is mandatory because the Prophet always used to say. Any other dua? Yes, there is a longer dua. Rabbi ghfirli warhamni wa'afini wa'hdini wa'afini. All of this is possible. This is the prostration or the sitting between the two prostrations. It's called iftirash. And if you would like to show it from behind, I'm sitting on my left foot and my right foot is erect. This is the sunnah. Sheikh, I have problems with my right foot, so can I put it down like this? No problem. Sheikh, I'd like to sit with 2 feet on one another because this is the only way I feel comfortable. No problem. Your prayer is valid. You will lose the reward of the sunnah. But your prayer is totally valid. No problem. Not only that, Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, at the end of his time, he used to sit cross-legged. And when some of his companions followed him, he said, no, this is not the sunnah. I'm doing this because of my knees. You should sit like the sunnah. But the position is what? Sitting. No matter how you sit, the thing, but the more you are following the Prophet, the better it is for your work. I must do a second sujood. And it's the same format. I say, Allahu Akbar. The same thing exactly, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Now, after I finish my sujood, I have to rise up to the second rak'ah. There is a sunnah that is called Jalsat al-Istiraha, where I stand up. Before I stand up, I give a small pause. And then I say, Allahu Akbar. So when standing up, one should not stand with 4 fingers between the 2 feet, like some schools of thought say. And you go to the masjid and you find the people standing like this. What is this? If you want to answer the call of nature, go ahead, but don't come to the prayer when you're this tight. So this is, the way I'm standing is wrong. Some brothers, when they want to come and pray, they do this. Why? He says, the one on the right is far away from me, and the one on the left is far from me. And the brothers is doing this and doing this. What are you doing? This is done in karate, in taekwondo, but not in prayer. So how should I stand? Stand normally. The width of your shoulders should be relevant to the distance between your 2 feet. Don't stand like this, because this is not pointing to the Qibla. And don't stand like this, because this means you have to see your orthopedic surgeon. You have a problem with your knees. But stand in a normal way, either like this or a little bit away apart from each other. Make it natural the way you stand. So I rose to the second rak'ah. Do I raise my hands? No. I simply Allahu Akbar and resume my second rak'ah exactly as the first rak'ah. And I recite the Fatiha. I recite an optional surah afterwards, as according to the sunnah. Now, one thing that we need to pay attention to, and 90% of Muslims are doing, unfortunately, it is a mandatory act of reciting Quran, of making dhikr, of making dua, is to move your lips. What do you mean, Sheikh? If you pray the Fatiha like this, I just said Ameen in my head. I did not move my lips, I did not move my tongue. Your prayer is invalid. Oof, invalid. Yes, it's totally invalid. Why? See, when I think of punching my cameraman in the face, or taking the wallet of the man sitting there and robbing him of his money, I didn't utter it. I didn't act upon it. There is no sin on me. Whatever goes in my mind, there is no sin. Likewise, if I just simply recite the Quran in my mind without moving my lips with it, it does not count. It's just scanning things in my head. I have to say, I have to move my lips and my tongue. And this is why when some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ came to him, he said to him, your tongue must remain moist with the remembrance of Allah. Which means that you have to move your tongue when reciting the Quran, saying Allahu Akbar. The people, they do like this. And they keep on, they pray without moving the lips, and this is totally wrong. One of the things that a lot of the Muslims also make a mistake in is keeping their eyes closed. So what are you doing? Well, I am daydreaming. I think I'm on the beach in Côte d'Azur, in Cannes or Nice. Wow, it's fun. Allahu Akbar. What? This is totally haram. Why are you closing your eyes? He said, oh, Sheikh, I'm distracted. Whenever I keep my eyes open, the man in front of me is moving, and the next one is touching his pocket, and the third one is picking his nose, and every time I feel tempted to look at my watch, and sometimes I say, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and I watch the chandeliers and the lights and the writing on the wall, I get distracted, so I close my eyes. This is not permissible. Why? Because neither the Prophet nor his companions have ever done this, and they had more things to distract them than you. Now, if you tell me that there's a child in front of you while praying, sometimes you get these situations. You get a 5-year or 4-year-old child standing in front of you, looking into your eyes and doing faces to you. This would make you break into laughter. So in order to avoid this, you close your eyes for maybe 5-10 seconds until he goes away. This is okay. But to think that tranquility comes only through closing your eyes while doing this, this is against the and it's not permissible. Also, one of the common mistakes is that when you are in the ruku' position and you say Sami Allahu liman hamidah, people think that this is time for dua. So they say Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan. This is wrong. The raising of the hands should be Sami Allahu liman hamidah. If you want to make dua, either put your hands to your sides or to what I have indicated to earlier, put the right on the left on the chest and say Rabbana wa lakal hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. This is only done in qunut of witr. When you're making dua, in qunut of witr, not during your prayers as usual. I bow and I prostrate and then I sit for the first tashahhud. So when I rise up from the second sujood to sit for my first tashahhud, I'm in the position of iftirash. I sit on my left foot with my right foot erect, with my toes pointing to the Qibla. And I begin to say at-tahiyyat, which is mandatory. Now, my left hand is on my knee and thigh in here. My right hand has two positions. The first position is to grab the two pinky and the one next to the finger, to attach the middle finger with the thumb, doing a circle like this, and to point with my index finger like this. This is position one, which the sunnah came with. The second position is to make a fist with all four fingers, pointing only with the index finger. So, either this or this. Now, what do I do with the index finger? The sunnah, as in the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, the Prophet, whenever he sat alayhi salatu wasalam for tashahhud, he used to point his index finger, moving it, making dua with it. So the sunnah is to point it like this, shake it in its position, not circling like some people do, and not going up and down like people do, rather than pointing it and moving it. There is another hadith which is not as strong, not as authentic, which was narrated by Abdullah ibn Zubayr, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, that the Prophet used to point and does not move. But the most authentic opinion is the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, that he used to move it throughout. So when do we stop, Shaykh? You begin by saying, at-tahiyyatu lillahi wa-salawatu wa-tayyibat, assalamu alayka ayyuha nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi as-salihin, ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, with different variations of this tashahhud. And I'm moving my finger. Point out that I can say either one, the hadith of Umar or the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Assalamu alayka ayyuha nabi, this is Umar ibn Khattab and others. Or I can say that what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud used to say, which is in Sahih Bukhari, assalamu ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And he said that we used to say at the time of the Prophet, when he was alive, assalamu alayka ayyuha nabi, but after he died, we used to say assalamu ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I can say either one. Now this is the first tashahhud. Do I offer salutation afterwards by saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali? No. The most authentic opinion is that this is the sunnah. Imam Shafi'i said that if you add salutation upon the Prophet in the first tashahhud, this is recommended. And the vast majority of scholars say this is okay, but it is not per the sunnah. So you stop at wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Now, then you go and stand up for tashahhud, for your third rak'ah. In Fajr, I continue. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, and I point out my finger throughout until I offer salam. If I'm in Maghrib or Dhuhr, Asr or Isha, I stand up for the third rak'ah, I continue the third rak'ah, the fourth rak'ah, and then I sit for the last tashahhud. In the last tashahhud, which is a prayer that has two tashahhud, the first one and the last one, I sit in the position known as tawarruk. And tawarruk means that I sit on the hip, the wirk, and I sit on my left buttock. This is called tawarruk. And I erect my right foot as usual, but my left foot, which I used to sit on, now comes underneath my right leg. So this is called tawarruk. The Prophet used to do this in the third rak'ah in Maghrib and in the fourth rak'ah of Dhuhr, Asr and Isha. Now, I place my left hand over my knee with it, and sometimes it's erect so that I can lean on it, because I can see that my hip and my side is a bit tilted because of this way of sitting. And my hand is on my thigh, pointing my finger, and I'm looking, and this is something important, when I sit for tashahhud, where the authentic hadith states used to at his index finger. So I should keep my sight throughout, wiggling it or moving it in its position, taking it. And this is the sunnah. Some scholars say you can also look at the position of your preparation, but the hadith proves that this is doing it, and that is looking at your eye. To the end. And then it is recommended to say or seek refuge in Allah from the four things. And then I can ask whatever I want, same as sujood, because this is a place where the Prophet told us that you should select whatever you want from dua in this position. So I ask for Allah's forgiveness, I ask for Allah's provision, I ask for Allah's health, guidance, etc. And then recommended to conclude before salam by saying Allah ala dhikrika wa husni ibadatik. This dua of Mu'adh ibn Jabal, some say it's before salam, others say it's after salam. I'm inclined to say before salam because this is the time of dua. And then I offer salam. And how do I offer salam? Say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If you notice, I did not pause. I did not say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's not this way. And it's wrong to say it. People say assalamu alaikum and then turn. No, it should be simultaneous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And the sunnah is to make those behind you see your cheek. So you don't say do this. So they see your cheek, as they reported in the companions. We used to see the whiteness of his cheek, alayhi salatu wasalam, to the right and to the left. Among the common mistakes, your hands. In the tashahhud, after you finish, people usually do this. What is this? It's a sign that they have concluded. Who are you signing this for? So while in the tashahhud, they finish the tashahhud, and the imam is still praying. So they say, Allahumma inni alayka hey, by the way, guys, I'm finished. Some of them, in salam, they would say, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, as if they're giving right indicator, left indicator, driving. I think this is part of driving lessons. It's wrong. You don't have to do this. You're not turning right or left. So doing this is prohibited. The Prophet saw the companions moving their hands while in prayer, and he said, do not do this like the tails of wild horses. You know, the tail of the wild horse is always wiggling and upright. And the Prophet prohibited them from saying this. And it is important to learn how to pray according to the sunnah, and that you do this for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Some of the brothers in the standing position, when they're praying, and the end of the surah is min al-jinnati wan-nas. The imam is reciting, and I'm praying behind him. The moment he says min al-jinnati, he lets go. What is this? This is indicating that I know that this is the last verse of the imam, and that he's going for rukur. And this is acknowledged in long surahs. So if he's reciting from a long surah that people don't usually know, and I know that he's going to make rukur now, I let go. So people next to me say, oh, mashallah, he's a hafiz. He says, Shaykh, I didn't do this for that intention. Why do you do it then? Yeah, don't. Follow the imam. As long as the imam is doing this, you do it. The moment the imam says Allahu Akbar, you let go. But not fulfilling this and doing it before the imam means that there's something wrong. Either you want to inform people that I know the surah, I know that he's going for rukur, I'm a smart man. Or there's something wrong, I don't know what. Another thing that a lot of the Muslims fail to do is the moment the imam says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you find the congregation doing this. And if the imam takes his time to do the left one, they say, come on, man, I'm waiting. Imam, what are you doing? Come on, my neck is hurting. So they do this, and this is totally wrong. They should wait until the imam says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Now they say the first taslim, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So it is wrong to do taslim with the imam when he first does his first. No, you have to only move after he finishes the salam. Also, a very common mistake is how you follow the imam. What do you mean? The companions of the Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith that when we used to pray with the Prophet ﷺ, we did not bend our backs. Now they're in the standing position, their backs are straight. We never bent our backs until the forehead of the Prophet ﷺ touched the ground. Whoa. Meaning that if the Prophet says Allahu Akbar, they wait until his head touches the ground, then they start descending. The vast majority of people, the moment the imam says, oh, they immediately go and fall. Maybe they're fitter, faster than the imam, so they race him and they go prostration before the imam. This invalidates their prayer. So be careful. You do not move from the pillar you're doing to the following pillar until the imam